Hey, welcome to a fresh video on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. These videos are sponsored by Big Betting Australia. Don't forget to use the code Blue Abroad at the checkout. No minimum order needed. Free shipping as well. Just use the code. Link is in the description and away you go. Now in this video, I want to talk about Jack Carroll. I want to talk about why he hasn't been offered a deal. I want to look at his season. I want to get all the information that we know about what's been said from Nick Austin, list manager, and I want to look at some of the highlights of Jack Carroll this year and really pinpoint and unpack his season. And I think through doing that, we might get more of an idea as to why we find ourselves at the end of season 2024 not really knowing where he is at and not really knowing where he's going to be. Now, filming this on the 8th of October, 2024, it is technically, a couple of days into the trade period officially starting. So when I think of Jack Carroll, if we actually circle back 12 months ago, we made a decision as a club to part ways with Paddy Dow. And I think partly because we wanted to invest more time and more games into Jack Carroll and allow Jack Carroll to develop. Now, Jack's 21 years old at the time of filming this, so youth, you would assume, is still on his side. Now, he ends up playing 15 games in 2024. Interestingly enough, 7 of them were as the sub. He obviously starts the season in opening round as the sub. He comes on for Sam Doherty, and I think we all saw something on that night. And I think really from where I stand, he kicks the goal against the Lions. He plays relatively well following up from that against the Richmond Footy Club. In this game, he actually started on the field and played the entire game. He then played again against North Melbourne. This is a club that he traditionally actually plays pretty well against. He made his debut against them. And then he played relatively well against Fremantle in gather round. And I think at this point, once we got to the end of the Fremantle game, I thought, wow, look at this. This is the first month of the season. He started as a sub first game. Sam Doherty's gone down. I think we all looked around and collectively thought, okay, there's a real elevation here and something's happened and he's obviously made a bit of a jump. Now, against the Crows in round 5, he was the sub. And I remember he got the head knock. And I don't know if this actually changed the course of his season, so to speak, because he was still named the week after. But I remember it happening, and I remember not really seeing him play with the same confidence after that. Now, that could be for a number of reasons. So if we actually break it down, so Adelaide, he's the sub. He plays the following week against the GWS Giants at Marvel. He's also the sub. Round 7 against Geelong, he plays the full game, gives us 7 disposals. He didn't have a very good game, didn't have a lot of impact. He's omitted from the team. He comes back against Sydney, which was just one of the worst days of the season. He was also the sub in this game. Gets another chance in round 11 as the sub. Plays again in round 12 as the sub. Finally gets elevated to the full list in round 13. He has 5 disposals and all 5 of those were kicks. So just can't get himself going. He gets omitted after Essendon in round 13. Then he comes back for North Melbourne in round 19. And he plays relatively well. He played okay. He had 17 touches. It was a solid game. Then he goes back to being the sub in round 20 against Port Adelaide. He's omitted for round 21. Comes back in round 23 and 24 against the Eagles and St Kilda. And so it just... What started off as a really promising season ended with, I'm not really sure what happened. And I don't know if it's the head knock against the Crows earlier in the season or just a drop in confidence or maybe being the sub impacted his ability to develop. I'm not exactly sure of everything going on. But the reality is where we find ourselves at right now is that he's left without a deal as it stands right now for next year. Nick Austin's made it pretty clear that we're looking for list flexibility and we're looking to get into the draft and potentially bring in some pieces here and also, have a look at some of the kids that we do have right now. And the ones that are probably more relevant than not are, Cooper Lord, Billy Wilson maybe to an extent, and Ashton Moyer. Maybe Jackson Binns is in that group as well. So 12 months ago, Jack Carroll is looking to be someone that we invest time into ahead of Paddy Dow. And, 12 months later, we're having a very similar thought process around the next wave of kids coming through. So I'm not sure. Where does it sit with you? For me, at his age, I think in the past we've held on to players a lot longer than this, and that might be a sign of, changing times. There was a report on the 4th of September 2024 by, interestingly enough, a gentleman by the name of Peter Vlahos. We have a Peter Vlahos in this Blue Abroad community, but this is not the same Peter Vlahos. Now, this Peter Vlahos is from SEN in WA, and he reported that he believed Carroll will be looking for a move back to Western Australia. The 21-year-old has played 15 games for the Blues, breaking out as a classy left-footed midfielder, and he said Carlton's Jack Carroll is possibly looking to head home or to another club. He played at East Fremantle and was a great product in the Waffle Colts. He looks like he wants to get out of Carlton and could request a trade. So that was on the 4th of September. Haven't heard anything yet. It's a really quiet theme of this off-season because we're all talking about Owies, Kennedy, Lewis Young, Dan Houston, but we haven't really heard too much about Jack Carroll. So what about you? What do you actually think about Jack Carroll? Have you seen enough? What are you looking for? Where does he fit? And what is your thought process around what happens with him moving forward? Let's chat about it in the comments.